still awake in an hour's time. See, she takes another of those powders.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Good night, gentlemen.
That should take care of matters till morning. Cab?
Prefer to walk.
Anything you say. Can you make head or tail of it at all, Holmes? I can't.
I am being manipulated.
Hey, what's that? Manipulated? How do you mean?
That chink in my armor, it's been discovered.
I'm sure I haven't the foggiest notion what you're talking about.
Watson, did you know my full name was William Sherlock Scott Holmes?
Is it? No, I didn't know that. Same as the lad, eh? Well, it's not an uncommon name, is it, Scott? What about that exploring Johnny? One is down in Antarctica just now. Another Scott. One thing puzzles me, though.
One thing. I commend your clarity of mind, Watson. What thing is that?
That bit in the letter about you not cooperating with the police. No one's asked you to cooperate with the police.
Mr. Sherlock Holmes?
Yes, my name is Holmes.
Inspector Lafferty, New York Police Department.
And I'm Mortimer McGraw, president of the International Gold Exchange.
How do you do, Mr. McGraw? This is Dr. Watson.
How do you do?
Mr. Holmes, I only learned an hour ago that you were even in New York. I would have come to you sooner.
About what?
Mr. McGraw has been kind enough to offer his landau for our convenience. Could I trouble you, both of you, to join us in a short drive?
As you wish.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Gentlemen, it is almost 11 at night.
Well, more likely, yes.
Mr. Holmes, have you ever heard of the International Gold Exchange?
No.
Gold is a very attractive metal to thieves, as you well know. It is also the major medium of exchange between nations of the civilized world.
Quite.
Shipments of large quantities of gold from one country to another is not only arduous but dangerous. Because of that, the International Gold Exchange was established. May I describe it to you?
Please do.
Deep beneath the basement of the Bowery National Bank here in Manhattan, cut into the bedrock of the island, are a number of vaults. Each vault considered the property of the sovereign nation whose name appears above its steel doors.
I think I understand the object of your exchange, Mr. McGraw. When gold is to be transferred from one country, Russia, let us say, to another, Great Britain, instead of making the long and hazardous journey from Moscow to London, the required amount of bullion is merely removed from one vault and placed into another near it.
Exactly. Now 6 trusted employees of the exchange do the work that used to require 600 nationals of the countries involved. And the risk of theft has been reduced to virtually nothing.
Most ingenious. I congratulate you, sir. I only have one question. Why are we being told all this at this hour of night?
Because the gold's been stolen, that's why.
All of it.
Every brick, virtually.
When was the theft discovered?
When the door was unlocked at the bottom of the elevator shaft, the vaults were empty.
And there was a huge hole cut into the rear wall of the chamber.
A hole leading where?
Into the subway excavation that passes right by the bank. We found one brick of the bullion in the tunnel, another in the excavation.
And news of this incredible theft has been kept from the public.
So far. But, Mr. Holmes, in 3 days' time, a transaction is to take place between Italy and Germany. When that happens, the theft will be discovered, and the international repercussions will be such that not even war, world war, can be ruled out.
Mr. Holmes, we've only got 3 days to find the gold and get it back in the vaults. And we need your help to do it.
The life of Scott Adler depends upon one thing alone, Mr. Sherlock Holmes. Your refusal to cooperate with the police. You will refuse, and you will give no reason for your refusal, or the boy will die.
Gentlemen, I am sorry I cannot assist you in this matter.
You what?
I can be of no service to you in any way whatsoever.
We've been talking to Sherlock Holmes.
You have. Now, gentlemen, you must permit me to bid you a good night.
Come along, Watson.
Wait a minute. You can't turn us down like this. we've come to you because of your worldwide reputation. Mr. McGraw has explained to you the seriousness of the situation.
Inspector, I have nothing further to say on the matter.
Well, I have something further to say to you.
Inspector.
When the crime's found out, and it's learned it could lead to a world war, and Sherlock Holmes knew about it and didn't lift one finger to assist the police, what's the world going to think of the great Sherlock Holmes then?
Drive on.
Good night, Inspector.
Hey, Mr. McGraw!
The scoundrel, how dare he?
Now do you understand what I meant when I spoke of being manipulated? Now do you fully appreciate the art, the genius of this Napoleon of crime?
What Napoleon are you talking about?
He knew those mutilated tickets would bring me to New York. He knew I would be at the theater tonight, and the announcement of Irene's indisposition would make me rush to her home so that he could deliver that note to me. He knew that Inspector Lafferty would be waiting here for me at the hotel, and that he would enlist my aid in recovering the gold. And because of Scott Adler, I would be forced to refuse him. Every single thing Moriarty promised me that night in London has come true. The crime of the century has been committed, and I am helpless to do anything about it.
Moriarty made off with that gold?
And with Scott Adler, too, I'm convinced.
So what the deuce can he do with all that bullion?
You heard what McGraw said. He can bring every nation to the brink of a world war.
What good's a world war to him?
The prevention of it. With mankind trembling upon the brink of unimaginable devastation. Professor Moriarty will come forward and reveal that the gold is in his possession. The bankrupt nations in his power. Moriarty, ruler of the world. The crime of all centuries to come. Indeed it is, Watson. Indeed it is.
The life of Scott Adler depends upon one thing alone, Mr. Sherlock Holmes. Your refusal to cooperate with the police.
I am powerless to circumvent it.
Holmes?
Yes?
Forgive me saying so, Holmes, but if you're prepared to stand there and fiddle while the world goes up in smoke, well, then your precious Professor Moriarty deserves to sit on his mountain of gold and tell the rest of us to jump. Well, I never made any bones about what that damn fiddle does to me nerves.
It's quite all right, Watson. Please, don't apologize. I see.
What is it, Holmes?
That man down there is watching this room. I saw him twice this evening, marching up and down with his signboards.
Is he, Joe? I wonder what he's up to.
I can tell you that, Watson. He is wondering what we are up to. Dear friend, I hear your profound debt of gratitude.
Oh, come now, Holmes.
But I do. If you had not reprimanded me just now as you did, I would have gone on doing exactly what you accused me of doing. Fiddling while the world burned, and Moriarty would indeed have won the day. But you broke the spell, my friend. Watson, why are we being watched? Ask yourself that question.
There's no need to. You just did.
And I'll answer it. If Moriarty's plan is so perfect, if I am supposed to be helpless, destroyed, unable to fight him, then why is it necessary to have me watched?
That's not an answer, Holmes. It's another question.
And the answer is because the plan is not perfect. It has one single flaw in it. And that man down there has to be there so that Moriarty will know at once if I discover that flaw.
Well, have you?
Yes. But he is not going to know that. Watson, what is it that prevents my assisting the police?
Well, the boy's safety, of course.
Of course. So long as Scott Adler remains Moriarty's captive, then my hands are tied. His life hangs upon my inactivity. But what if the lad were to be snatched from Moriarty's claws and set free?
By whom?
By us, and in such a way that Moriarty still believes him prisoner. If that can be achieved, then the manacles fall from my wrists and I'm free to turn my attention to the theft of the gold.
Well, easier said than done, I'd say.
Yes, Watson. I believe that is just what you have said.
Oh, thank you. Oh, the chap's still down there. It's a damp night, too. Oh, he'll have a nice touch of the rheumatism in the morning. I hope he enjoys it. Oh, you're not going to start up on that wretched fiddle again, are you? Oh, we're in for one of those sessions, are we?
Precisely. Let me detain you, Watson. I expect this will be a four-pipe problem at the very least.
Yeah. Well, take care you don't set the upholstery afire the way you did that night at Aspet la Souche. Night, Holmes. Well, night, Watson. Sleep well. Holmes! It's 12:30 in the afternoon.
7:30 in the morning, Watson.
What's that? Oh, watch must have... Oh, well, cheeky beggars, I must say, making up their own time. Surprised no one's called the fire brigade. Oh, that chap's been replaced. This one's wearing stripes instead of checks. Well, Holmes, what do you come up with?
2 points of exceeding interest, Watson, about which I shall be delighted to tell you whilst we're dressing. Scott Adler's abductor was a woman.
That's impossible.
Well, the conclusion is inescapable, Watson. How did Fräulein Reichenbach's assailant begin the attack?
Grabbed her by the hair.
The instinctive target of a woman when she finds herself in combat with another of her gender. What did she do then?
Kicked her.
In the shins, another instinctive form of female attack.
I must say, Holmes, none of the ladies with whom I've been associated have
I
ever...
never mentioned ladies, Watson. I said a woman. And one of sufficient strength that she was able to fling the Fräulein to the ground, seize young Scott Adler.
No, Holmes, you're assuming too much. It's all very well to say that a woman struck Fräulein Reichenbach and pummeled her in the manner you described, but that's a far cry from her seizing a 9-year-old boy who's struggling, crying out.
Aha! Admirable, my dear Watson. Come in. You have just hit upon the second one. No mention was made by the Fräulein of any struggle or outcry.
Excuse me. Right, George, you're right.
Nothing. Just leave things we will serve ourselves. Thank you very much. So, it must be assumed that none was made. I am convinced that the matter was arranged with the lad in advance.
What? Scott Adler cooperate with Moriarty in his own kidnapping?
Suppose it were put to the lad as a joke of sorts.
A joke on who? Surely not his mother.
Or perhaps on the Fräulein.
But for what reason? And why a woman kidnapper in the first place?
Because the lad has to be kept somewhere quietly and inconspicuously, and what better place could there be than a respectable lodging house? And what better guardian than someone who might be taken for his cousin, his aunt, or even his mother? Watson, I have some questions I must put to Irene at once. That sedative you gave her, will it have worn off by now?
At 1:15 in the afternoon, of course.
Watson.
Oh, that's all, Holmes. If an Englishman doesn't maintain his ties with home, what becomes of England?
Come along, Watson.
Holmes!